Well, Mlambo telling the JSC that there's no question that the Gauteng courts that he presides over are incredibly busy, especially with several politically charged cases. All right, let's take you now to eNCA's Heidi Giokos, who's been tracking that story and sitting in on those interviews and listening in. So, Heidi, just a quick sum up from your perspective. He spelled out his vision for the judiciary should he be appointed as the next Chief Justice. What were the main highlights that stood out for you?
Well, Tulas, it's only been about 2 hours since you've had Judge President of the Gauteng Division, Dunstan Mlambo, during this interview and speaking and given about 30 minutes to explain his vision and plan should he become Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court. And what I think is so important to highlight is that he is definitely a super administrator. He has his ducks in a row. He knows exactly what he wants to tackle. He mentioned about 5 pillars. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I think the most important and the biggest one is how he's managed to turn around the Gauteng division with regards to innovation and modernization. He says this is extremely important in trying to deal with cases as quickly and as efficiently as possible, alluding to the fact that here in Gauteng there is case lines, and that has enabled the courts and the Gauteng division to be able to do research as quickly as possible, to be able to tackle cases as quickly as possible. But there was also criticism with regards to how long it takes for judgments to actually be delivered and handed down in the Gauteng division. And he mentioned how it's just unacceptable that when judgments are reserved, they've been reserved for 2 years and nothing is being done. So he's identified issues that the judiciary system faces, and he plans to tackle them head on. He's also alluded to the fact that he has been for transformation. He says when he took over the Gauteng division, he says that there were only 15 female judges, and now there are 38 female judges. He's highlighted the fact that the wrong question is being asked when commissioners here at the Judicial Service Commission are asking whether or not South Africa is ready for a female Chief Justice. And he says we've always been ready, and it's not about an individual's gender as to whether or not that they can become the head of the judiciary. It's rather their capabilities and skills, something that has been preached on by Justice Mandisa Meyer, who was interviewed yesterday. So it's definitely going to get more heated, I do think, after the break, because you're going to start getting more questions asked, especially from political leaders who are commissioners here, such as Julius Malema. So we are all waiting in anticipation, but the biggest thing that stood out for me was clear vision, stern in what he wants, and very keen on making sure the administrative work is tackled in our courts.
I agree with you, Heidi. I do expect that it might get a bit heated through the course of the day. And did you get the sense that he's preempting some of the questions that might come a bit later on? What, with him and his division having been at the heart of some controversial cases that they've had to preside over and make decisions and stand by those decisions, even in the face of severe criticism at times. The sense that I get, Heidi, and you'll tell me if it's the same sense you got, is that he doesn't intend to shy away from criticism, but rather he believes actually there should be communication mechanisms that will allow the judiciary to respond, in his words, timeously whenever unfounded criticism is leveled at them. So he's not shying away. He says, actually, we will respond and push back.
Yes, exactly, Tulas. I think spot on there. And in, I think it was the first 5 or 10 minutes of being questioned and interviewed here, he immediately started speaking about how, especially the Gauteng division, which is one of the busiest courts in this country, the busiest divisions in this country, he says that there are councillors and commissioners in the room who have bombarded, those were his words, bombarded the courts, especially the Gauteng division, with very complex matters that need complex intervention and have complex information that need to be dealt with. And he says it's become very difficult for the courts to deal with because it's of national importance. It needs to be dealt with timeously and as quickly as possible. And then he was asked the question to say, but everybody should have access to the judiciary. And he says, yes, bring it on. So he's already preempted that the questions are going to start becoming political. And many were asking the question, why is there so much anticipation, especially for Judge President of the Gauteng Division, Dunstan Mlambo? And many of these state capture, if I can call them that, cases have been referred to the high courts in Gauteng and have been overseen by the Judge President. So this is why there's some kind of anticipation as to the line of questioning that's going to be posed to him. But he's made it very clear that there are attacks and there is criticism that's put to the judiciary, but he says it's all about clear leadership, and a leader must act by example, and there should be a consideration for the welfare of judges. He's also spoken about a colloquial for judges and the judiciary. He says there needs to be dialogue and conversation amongst judges so that there's clear communication as to the kind of strategies and measures that need to be implemented to make the judiciary effective. One must remember, Tulas, that Judge President Dunstan Mlambo head up legal aid, which is now extremely efficient, and he's spoken about the strides that he has made there. So I think he's definitely preempted, and I think we're going to see a cheeky side of Judge President Dunstan Mlambo, because he's already started showing that, to say, I know what I'm doing, and I've headed up legal aid, I've headed up the Gauteng Division, which is a very complex judiciary, or rather courts,
Heidi,
here in Gauteng. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes after that.
Heidi, I'm chuckling a bit. Did he actually use those words, I know what I'm doing?
Yes, and he actually said, bring it on. So
you know why I'm chuckling?
He's ready for this day.
I'm chuckling because those words were used a few days ago, about a week ago, by the Western Cape Division Judge President, John Hlophe, in a coy comment at the end of the hearings around Christmas Mafe and his referral for psychiatric evaluation, and he said at the end of the hearings, and said, this is the Western Cape. We know what we're doing. So that's quite interesting turn of phrase there. All right, that's eNCA's Heidi Giokos there. She's. Sorry, Heidi.
Yes, no, I was just going to say to Les that I think he wants to make it very clear that he is fully aware of his role as Judge President of the Gauteng Division, and that he has been in the judiciary system for years. So he just wants to make it clear to the Commission from the onset that he is fully aware of his roles and responsibilities.
All right, fantastic. We'll catch up with Heidi a bit later on, and we will take you back to those hearings as soon as they resume with the interview of Judge President Dunstan Mlambo. We take a quick break.